Pennies dropped about hoodies. See, I'm wearing mine right now. All it ever was to me was a warm-up top to wear to footy training, till I'd worked up enough of a sweat to get the old heart and lungs pounding. Then off it came over my head, having delivered me up raring to do pitch battle with the world. Obviously all that's gone by the wayside now. Where I find myself presently, it's more like how you wore yours. Undistinguished and indistinguishable. Withdrawal from the world rather than engagement. I can see how the cloister of the hood is more than merely functional. It swaddles you in beaded, bobbly tepidity when there's no warmth to be had outside. Spare the rod and spoil the child. A single stab wound. That's all it was. That's all it took to take him away. Only felt like a punch. No great spike of agony, no jag of awareness, but a slow puncture of blood from the midriff. Apparently he thought a signet ring might have scalloped the skin, but he'd been breached minutely, invisibly. Pressure differentials, scrabbling fingers among his own blood glaze, trying to verify the source of the welling pigmentation, merely served to separate the fresh wheat from the encrusted patina, daubing his own dissipation in his nonplussed anxiety. Still no polestar of pain, no neural sensation, weltered under the panic override, and down he falls. To his knees or onto his side, witnesses fail to render, slumped on the stony concrete, as the stone-cold slayer skedaddles scot-free. Further detail the onlookers let slip past them. Witnesses indeed. Yet there is someone who steps into the physical breach. A woman scoops up his torso and cleaves him to her, tears off the glove between her teeth as she scrambles to compress the wound, even while screaming for someone to dial 999. Multitasking. Women are superior at that, you see. But his essence rivulets through the delta of her fingers no matter how she clamps them. A surrogate mother, a mid-to-end wife to deliver him lovingly into death. What a slap in the face for us, the true parents. Us blood relatives sat unpierced at home and at work, blithely unaware of our closing moments of intactness as a family. She's busy improvising on the hoof. What to do? I suppose all mothers know instinctively. I say that, but how many are called upon to conduct a juvenile soul across the River Leith? Just, well, what would we have done? We were deprived of the opportunity to ever know. Our distant love able to staunch nothing, while her impromptu love wept onto her, as he in turn bled onto her. Anointed to one another in the final exchange, disinheriting us, extreme unction, so extreme. The knife wielder expunged him, but she swiped him from us. So tell me, just how are we meant to be grateful to her for her on-the-spot compassion? It's perhaps perverse that we resort to her for our bilious repository, our human spittoon. Why crucify her for a display of compassion? Simply because we are acquainted with her face. We know so much about her, including what she got up to and did next in her life, while our son was no longer in a position to get up and do anything. She stands in the foreground, a coconut shy on the emotional roller coaster amid our unfair ground. But we have more than mere impression of her, we have her account. Without her we possess no possibility of a final narrative, of the unfolding of events that wrapped up a life. So for all our resentment, still we grilled her remorselessly for information upon more information, corked ourselves to her to a far greater degree than to the police family liaison officer assigned us. We didn't care for that lady's fresh-flaked platitudes and third-rate textbook psychoverbal. We wanted facts. We wanted the whole thing spelled out to us in words of one syllable. What remains shadowy centres around the murderer, the true expropriator, the silhouetted hooded skull, done up like the Grim Reaper with scaled-down scythe, sneeringly aping the unavailability of our own cowed and cowed son. We are forced to sketch him backwards, for he has no features. We can console ourselves that it wasn't personal, that the light of our life seemingly hadn't a dark side disgorging fatal enemies, since this was no onslaught of multiple stab wounds, no targeted thrusts of hate. The blade was not frenziedly sunk all the way in, mocking our son by wafting at each dying heave of breath. It has crossed my mind that if he did indeed accost you verbally, maybe you didn't hear him because you had your iPod on, clotting your ears, wreathing together a desolate triumvirate with closed-off mouth and faceless expression. We bought you the iPod for last birthday, since you hadn't given us any indication, any clues of what you actually desired. Playing it relatively safe or so, we thought. Did we get it so badly amiss? Probably, since inadvertently you might have been killed by it, or for it even. Perhaps he spotted it and took an instant liking to it at your ultimate expense. That this was an economic crime, or at least started out as one. Maybe you fought back tooth and nail to hang on to an uninformed and frankly slightly desperate token of your parents' affection for you. No, that doesn't quite ring true with the Mal we knew and loved. Knew and loved. Actually, just loved really, albeit conditionally. I really ought to check if your iPod is still lodged somewhere here in your room, or if it has indeed gone AWOL. There again, the police might have snaffled it for what they in all sincerity termed an investigation. Through all their bustle they couldn't do enough for us, which amounted to precisely nothing in the final dead reckoning. One masterstroke they did manage to pull off was to hand us back your blood-stained clothing. That in itself told me there would never be a call for court case forensics. Apart from your signature trainers, no tongue and all convoluted laces, we didn't really comprehend what we were looking at. The dark hue of the stain on both trouser and sweatshirt didn't seem to conform to blood, while somehow the hoodie itself no longer resembled a piece of clothing, not even a smock you might put on when doing some painting. Couldn't make out the logo beneath the blood, but still have to assume it was you who bought it originally, in keeping at that stage with you shunning any attire we might have dared furnish you. So ultimately, it was you who opted for clothes that you were to be seen dead in, but not witnessed by us. We glimpsed you post-autopsy beneath a sear sheet, lying in statelessness, only your head on show to bid goodbye to, and now you're in the ground liquefying out of sight, but your ruined clothes persist, shrunken and amorphous, for being out of time and without place. Your shrine is bare. Even when you lodged here it had the feel of a guest room. Your mum tells me she can no longer determine your scent in here either. Sod's law, while the street-cleaning crew were flushing your blood from the pavement, she'd finally braved your wrath and stripped your bed and washed the linen. Inadvertently sliced you right out of our lives, as it turned out. The composite picture the police have issued of the boy they want to question has more detail than the faint clump of overlapping memories we have to depict you. Nice speaking with you, son. Same time tomorrow. I won't be late, I promise.